Chappie! Wale! Chappie! I can't do it. I can't do it as well. Chappie, in case you didn't know, is the latest feature by Neil Blomkamp, who did District 9 and then did Elysium and now did Chappie. I can't say it any other way. It's really stuck in my head. So, like District 9, which was based on a short that he had previously made, Chappie is based on a short commercial kind of spec project that he made called Tetraval back in 2004. And that was like a commercial for a robotic police force. Chappie combines thematically a lot of elements, you know, like people have already, I think we've already made the comparisons to RoboCop and Short Circuit, and it definitely has those elements in it along with a little bit of Wall-E. It's not the most original movie you're ever gonna see. And that, I think, speaks to a little bit of where it fails, but also I think a little bit of where it succeeds, because I think it takes a lot of those elements and does some interesting things with them. It takes place in Johannesburg, in South Africa. It's a setting we've seen before. He starts it in the same sort of docu-style technique he uses at the beginning of District 9 and then kind of leaves that behind. So he sort of starts with like okay, you know me as a director, you know my style, remember this kind of movie that I made, and then here's something new, a little bit. So there's a robotic police force. It's enforcing the law in Johannesburg, where every criminal seems to be completely and utterly simple-minded and giant and crazy and has giant guns and is always shooting them. The company that produces them is run by Sigourney Weaver, who there's very, very, very little of in this movie. Don't go see this movie because you want to see Sigourney Weaver. And she has two employees, Dion, who's played by Dev Patel, and Vincent, who's played by Hugh Jackman. It's basically nerd against nerd is what this movie is, because Dion's project, which is the Scouts, which is the police that's working right now and everybody's really excited about and happy with, Dion created that force. Those are his toys. Meanwhile, Vincent, who is an ex-military cartoon character of a bad guy, has created a giant ED-209 machine called the Moose that does not function with basic artificial intelligence the way the Scouts do. It functions like with a human-controlled mind control machine. Hugh Jackman is all butthurt because nobody wants to buy his giant, crazy military machine to walk the streets of Johannesburg, and instead everyone's buying Dion's toy. So he's mad. And that's kind of the story. The performances are pretty mediocre, except for Chappie, who does a really, Charlton Copley as Chappie, does a really great job at making this very basic CGI character into a really personable character. Chappie is cool, and he's interesting, and he's funny. It's just a problem, it's sad that every single character around Chappie is a one-dimensional cartoon character. And DeAntwoord is probably you know, a Ninja and Yolandi are probably the two given a majority of screen time and the most interesting kind of roles and the most interesting relations with Chappie. And so I really enjoyed every scene with DeAntwoord in it. The sad reality of it is that they're not actors. And so their performances feel really stilted. You never quite truly believe them. They're always Yolandi and Ninja from DeAntwoord. They're never anything else. Although I think the Zeph movement that they're known for gives the movie an aesthetic that's not as dark and gritty as Neil Blomkamp usually does. It gives it some color, it gives it some life, it gives it some humor, and all of those things are really great things. Their lack of ability to perform kind of takes you out of the movie. But because they're given some of the most interesting stuff, I kind of loved it. Neil Blomkamp is swinging for the fences with this one a little bit. You know, he's saying, look, District 9 was this well-done piece of sci-fi that I did. Then I did Elysium. And this seems to be like Neil on his continual journey to become a better director. It's way better than Elysium. It's a lot more enjoyable, but there's so many really interesting concepts that he's layering in that he doesn't have enough time to give any of them enough weight and explore any of them in any significant way. So it ends up being this like pastiche of deep conceptual science fiction instead of the exploration of one clear thought. The most interesting deep dive he does is into the nature of consciousness and whether or not this sort of artificial intelligence, this very childlike artificial intelligence, can be nurtured into the human experience. And that's really interesting. If you can accept that this is about an infantile but super powerful AI that's raised by a bunch of cartoonish criminals, if that doesn't sound fun to you, you're gonna fucking hate this movie. I mean, like, that's really the basics of it. I think this movie is visually sophisticated. I think that it produces a really memorable CGI character. But I think that you could temper your expectations, because ultimately a lot of it is underdeveloped and or a little bit divisive, and that's gonna put a lot of people off. I think you should watch it. I think it's kind of like a B-, a C+ a little bit. It's a good experiment at Sci-Fi. It doesn't always succeed, but I have to give him props for trying. Yeah. So that's kind of what I thought about the movie. Let me know if you get a chance to see Chappie this weekend in the comments below, and what you thought of it. Like and subscribe for more awesome movie content, and come back for more reviews and stuff. Chappie!